You probably think you have goals, but I don't think you do. Most people don't have goals. Your goals have to be specific. You have to then figure out how to achieve those goals in a way that's connected to reality. You then have to create a definitiveness of mind, of purpose, of motive that you're going to follow those steps and connect that to daily progress on that journey towards reaching those goals. You have to believe it. You have to have faith. You have to even know you're going to do it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about how to set goals and how to achieve them. Now, obviously, over the years, many people have been talking about goal setting, doing talks on it, motivational stuff, whatever. I'm sure you've read some books on it. So, like, this topic could just go on and on and on and on. And I could give you all these examples, quotes. I actually want to go the reverse way. I don't want to give you a massive treatment. I want to just give you the basics, very simple way to think about this. Very specific, tangible way to think about this and to act on it. Okay? Goals, like I said, the first thing with goals is you have to be specific. You have to know, like Seneca said, if you don't know your port when you're sailing, then no wind is favorable because you don't know where the hell you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? I think Yogi Berra said that. Goals should be thought of just like driving somewhere. You're going to take a road trip and you're trying to get somewhere. Not one of those meandering road trips. You're trying to get somewhere specific. You can get there in a lot of different ways. You could go from like West Coast to East Coast on just like probably one highway. You could go north, south, west, east. You could zigzag and visit a bunch of places along the way. Okay? There's always going to be a shorter, faster distance to where you want to go. And there's going to be a longer, massive, like the longest possible distance to get there. And goals are exactly like that. A lot of people actually never even reach the destination because they haven't thought about what that destination is. And like I said, how are you supposed to get somewhere if you don't know where you're going or where you want to go? So you have to know the destination. Because from the destination is what you figure out, what's the journey? What's the path? What roads do I take? How do I get there? What's the fastest way? What's the longest way? And what's an average way? You reverse engineer the process to getting there, and you figure out approximately the amount of time and the approximate journey to getting there. And things are going to change along the way. That's fine. That's why you course correct. Did you know that airplanes are off course something like 97% of the time? And so what the computer does is it constantly course corrects. You know, like every second you like course correct this way, and then you're kind of off path because the wind has turned you or whatever, and then you course correct that way, and it's just nonstop back and forth. It's kind of like steering a car. In fact, that's exactly what it's like. When you're driving your car, you don't put your hands on the wheel and point at where you're trying to go, and then it just goes there. Even if the road is the straightest road you've ever been on, you have to constantly turn that wheel because you are being pulled left or right off of that lane. And that's obvious. It's real-time feedback. You know exactly where you're going. The lane is narrow. The lines are right there. The shoulder's right there. If goals were like that, like more people would have reach their goals. It'd be much easier. And that's part of the muddiness. We don't know the destination, so we don't know what road to take. And then even if we do know the destination and we have an idea of some of the roads to take, okay, the roads don't have narrow lines and a shoulder. So it's very easy to get off course. And that's why constant feedback loops, constant experimentation, and daily progress, that's the course correcting. That's what you're doing on a daily basis, trying to get as much feedback as possible about where you're going and if you're on the right track or not. And this can be discouraging. And you know, this is where faith comes in because you don't know sometimes if you're on the right path. In fact, you might even have veered off. You might have taken the wrong fork. And you got to go and pursue that until you get feedback to realize that you're going the wrong way. And then you might have to reverse and go back to where you were and try again. And you might do that 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. In fact, most of it, if you go down to the microcosmic course correcting level, like the car and like the plane, that is off course most of the time, your goals are off course. Your progress is off course most of the time. And so the better you get at correcting and steering, then the less far you'll go when you do go off course. And you'll stay consistent. You'll keep course correcting back. So the first thing with goals is you have to be specific. Okay, some examples. I want to be rich. That's not a goal. That's actually an anti-goal. You're less likely to do that when you think that way. You got to be specific. I want to have $1 million. I want to have $5 million. Okay, I want to make $10,000 a month passive income. Start with something specific. Okay, and then you will whittle away and make it more specific, because then you'll start thinking about, how am I going to make that money? I'm going to make that money being an entrepreneur. And I got to make that money being an employee and getting stock options at like the newest hot tech startup. There's a lot of ways to make $1 million or $5 million or $10 million or $10,000 a month passive income. There's actually countless ways. It's not like that doesn't even matter. Okay, but you have to explore by starting somewhere. So maybe you try a job, doesn't work. Maybe you start a business, that doesn't work. But you know you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to do a business, so you keep going and you keep trying new businesses. This is why most entrepreneurs have, so-called 5 to 7 failures. I don't even think of them as failures. I think of them as data points. That wasn't your path. That was a potentially wrong fork in the road you took, of which you definitely learned a lot, right? You learned which not direction to take. Just like as Edison said, when they said, whatever they asked him, he's like, I found 1,000 ways to not do a light bulb. So finding what you aren't supposed to do is as valuable as finding what you're supposed to do. I mean, in fact, it's the duality of it. It's, as the Taoists figured out, everything's equal, duality, okay? Positive defines negative, white defines black, night defines day. You can't have one without the other. So much of being successful in life is actually experimenting, exploring, and doing a lot of things that aren't really the right thing. And that gives you experience and knowledge. It's just like a scientist that performs experiments. Every single failed experiment is a data point that is useful to eventually coming upon a successful experiment. So you have to be extremely specific, okay? The next thing is, so here we have, be specific. By when, what is it exactly? What's the mechanism for getting there? What is the step-by-step for getting it? And then, this is where we get into the next point. The next point is you have to reverse engineer the process to getting there. And like I said, you got to start somewhere, okay? And you got to try a lot of different things. But as long as you keep going, as long as you keep course correcting, as long as you keep experimenting, you will start getting feedback that is some combination of, well, I'm making money here, or I like what I'm doing, or this feels right, or I'm getting good feedback, or whatever it is. And you just keep going and going and going and going. And eventually, in hindsight, it looks obvious. Like this was the path I had to take. That path was this plus this plus this plus this. But what you probably forget, and what they don't really write about in books, or you don't really see, are the days, months, weeks, and years of all the other things you were doing and trying and thinking about. That was part of the course-correcting, experimenting process that might have felt like a lot of waste and a lot of time, but was actually the price you had to pay to discover the path towards your goal. So you start with a goal. You try to get a step-by-step for getting it. You go on to that journey. You course-correct all the time, daily, right? Which is the next part of here, which is, what is your daily routine for progress? You course-correct daily. And then over time, your goals might change. You might find something you want to do better, right? But that's, again, part of the process. You got to start somewhere, okay? And the constants here, the constants are the process for discovering, okay? But before we get to the constants for discovering, we will wrap up this step-by-step for getting there, okay? When you create a step-by-step for getting to a goal, let's say it's a 5-year goal, you have to, and this is, I think, where a lot of people, they fail with goals. They don't get to this part. They kind of think about it, they might even have a good idea of how to get there, and they don't take it to the next level. The next level is, what am I doing daily? What is my daily process? If you can set aside an hour a day, schedule it, do kind of a time blocking thing on your calendar, go be alone somewhere in the library or whatever, find an hour a day to deeply focus on this goal. Maybe it's just thinking about it. Maybe it's exploring. Maybe it's watching YouTube videos. Maybe it's researching this topic and seeing where that leads you. Maybe it's building something. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's cold calling people, doing sales calls, whatever it is. An hour a day of deep focus with no distraction will change your life. And that might not even get you to this specific goal. It'll change everything about your life. It's unbelievable how powerful this idea is. I highly recommend reading Deep Work by Cal Newport. That's the basis for how somebody like me can get so much done. I can run circles around people. I'm also very tech savvy, and I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I can lock myself in a room literally for 2 hours a day. In fact, it's even less than that. For about an hour a day, I can get everything I'm doing right now, which is my consulting, which is my business. Like, it's so powerful what you can do when you focus. And that's just a tangent, but like, I highly, highly recommend if you can carve out an hour or two a day. 2's the best. 3 is like really good, but you'll start getting tired because like 3 hours of deep work is pretty intense. You can get that into every single day of your life. And then you put those steps towards that goal into that somehow. Maybe you work on it most of the time, half the time, even just a little bit, even like 15 minutes a day towards a longer term goal. If you keep building that, it will compound and it will speed up. It's like a snowball going down a mountain, a really, really big mountain. Over time, it picks up speed, picks up more snow, and then it's a freaking juggernaut that you're not going to stop. Goals are like that. Building anything out there in the ether is like that. Compounding. That's where the results come from in life. So you figure out, what is my daily routine to be able to invest energy into the process of achieving my goal, so that compounding and exponential results that come from compounding can grow and get me there. This is one of those foundational laws of the universe. Like, you have to invest proof of work. It's how much energy did you invest in this thing? How much course correcting? And did you keep going? And eventually you will create your goals. Because that's what you're doing. You're creating it. So before we move on, without answers to these questions, without the by when, the exactly, a step-by-step for getting there, in your daily routine, like what are you doing daily on that journey towards that specific goal? Without this, you don't have goals. You have daydreams. You have ideas. You have desires. And what's worse is you don't even have a practical way of achieving them. Like, talk about self-torture. If you can't explain your goals specifically and definitively, I'm actually curious, which is the definitively, I think that's right, then you don't have any. A life without goals is life in the matrix. And this is, I could go down a deep rabbit hole in this idea. A life without goals is a life in the matrix. This is what most people that don't have goals live. They live in a constant, they're absorbing the world around them. They're letting other people feed their minds. They're probably more on the fear end, propagandized side of the spectrum. They're more likely to act in a certain way. They're more likely to be those that were, aggressive Karens telling you should wear masks and things like that. A life without goals is a life in the matrix. And a life in the matrix is usually a meaningless life. It is a life based on pursuing shallow desires, short dopamine hits, short bits of social validation with no actual contribution to the world, to humanity. And as a result, there's an underlying feeling of discontentment and misery. Whereas the individual with goals, with purpose, with meaning, like the life, the difference, you can't even quantify it. It's almost like a different species. Humans living in the matrix, they just respond to their environment. They don't have goals. They don't know what they're trying to do. They just kind of take it one day at a time. Now, mind you, there are people that can do this and be happy. And I would even say that that is a goal that they accomplish without realizing it, because happiness is a goal that you have to pursue. It does not come naturally. And it does not come easily either. So aside from those people, naturally happy people, I'm not just talking about people that have money or have built things or whatever. Like, if your goal is to be happy, you can do that. Like, you could do that right now. Within a month, you could figure out a life plan and probably be on your path to being happy. And maybe you're a naturally happy person. That's good enough for you. And I applaud you. My goal is to be happy and do things and have it all. That's my goal. But aside from those people, and aside from like the 1%, 2%, 3% that have goals and that are living lives of purpose and meaning, because they have something that matters to them and they're going after it, the rest of the world, the rest of humanity, are living in the matrix. And that's why depression rates are up. That's why we have the opioid crisis. That's why we have all the craziness in the world we have, the power struggles and the us versus them and all this nonsense. It's all a byproduct of a lot of modern humans that don't understand their own biology and psychology, that don't have lives of meaning, that aren't pursuing worthy goals, And as a result, they are just the mass of docile, consuming sheep. And I say this as somebody that wants to, I consider myself almost a shepherd. I want to protect my flock, and I want to help as many people wake up as possible and become shepherds so that they can then protect more, because I can do it myself. And the 1, 2, 3%, we can't do it ourselves. We need as many people as possible. I want as many better humans, aware, awake, pursuing worthy goals as possible, because that's actually how you make the world amazing. That's how we can colonize the stars. That's how we can build so much prosperity and get rid of all these petty power struggles over resources and ideas. Like, that shit is a lower form of consciousness. And we're going to eventually we're going to eventually own it. We're going to eventually overcome it. But there's going to be a lot of suffering along the way, a lot of it. So this is in no means, anything I'm saying here is in no means about a hubris or ego or anything like that. This is actually about, for me, this is a collective journey. I want to help as many people as possible live lives of meaning, because that's actually how I benefit myself and my children's future and the future for us all. We need as many people pursuing things that matter, as many people learning and building and creating as possible. We need as many humans on the planet as possible. People try talking about as if it's bad to have humans, it's bad to have babies because of the environment. That's bullshit. We need as many as possible. We will solve every climate and every resource constraint we have. In fact, the universe has more abundance than we could support infinite humans, basically. Eventually, through technology, we will be able to do that. So every single thing today that we struggle over is based on the past. It's based on certain resource constraints today, and it's just short-term thinking. It's scarcity thinking versus abundance thinking of what's possible, of what's out there. So yes, the stuff matters. Your life matters, no matter where you're at now. Your goals matter. Doing something worthy matters. Now, I actually might, 17 minutes. I might even have already forgot. Let's see if we can kind of review this. By when, what is it exactly? What is step by step? What is your daily routine for progress? Okay, yes. Now the last thing. Let's add a slide. So these are just notes, really. I need to definitely elucidate this a little bit more. Okay, so the next thing here, the final point of this, and of course there's like a bunch of sub-points here to expand on this. Like I said, I could talk about goals forever. Many people have and do. There's plenty of content out there. I'm trying to actually simplify this, give you the real core basics. The final piece of this puzzle, okay, so if we have goals, be specific. What's the step-by-step? And how do you connect that to a daily routine? Okay? And then if you don't have those questions answered, if you don't have a plan here, you have no chance. Like, you don't have goals. You have desires and daydreams, right? Which are anti-goals because you have no path to achieving them. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that because they want those things, that they somehow have a goal around it. No, you don't. You actually are more likely to dupe yourself because you convince yourself you have a goal when you don't. That's an anti-goal. It makes it so you're not going to actually clarify the goals, and you're not going to create a step-by-step system to get there, and you're not going to do anything towards it. Definitiveness of purpose and going, not quitting. Okay. So definitiveness. Again, that word is eluding me today. Definitiveness. I think that's the right way to say it. But I think you can actually say it both ways. I think you can say it definitiveness or definiteness. Okay. But this is the idea that you're going to do it. It's not a maybe. It's not a, like, I'm going to give it the old college try. It's not a 80%. It's 100%. I am going to do this thing. Regardless of results, regardless of how long it takes, regardless if I even get where I want to go. Maybe I don't even ever get there, but I will go after it. And then you have that purpose. You have that drive. It builds meaning in your life. And you connect to other things like your kids, the future, meaning, legacy, right? And that is how you don't quit. I can't really give you a playbook for how to achieve this. This is one of those very metaphysical, esoteric, hard to quantify things. Because, it's in the realm of, like, what motivates you? What's your why? How do you figure out a daily routine and build habits around that why? How do you stick with it? How do you avoid yo-yoing, as most people do with most things in life, where they do something for a while and they lose motivation and they're back to their status quo? How do you break your status quo? Because every single thing in your life to this point is a result of what you've done and how you've thought. And it really all comes down to how you think and how you've thought. Your life is a sum culmination of your thoughts to this point. That's the only thing it can be. You might say, this happened to me, that happened to me. You might start feeling that inner victim come out, trying to get attention. It wants you to feed it, starve it, kill it. It doesn't exist. The things in your life, in your reality, in your existence, were there. And how you responded to them is your choice. How you respond to them today. Whether you let your past, your history, define who you are today, define why you can't do something, is choice. It all comes back to you and your choice. Your thoughts are choice. Your emotions are choice. Your feelings are choice. Your actions are choice. You will never escape this. I call this max truth. I'm simplifying it probably to call it just the truth. The truth, the capital T truth. The truth of human existence is pretty much what the Stoics figured out. But I'm trying to bring it to the modern age for what we really need today. Just like Jocko brought extreme ownership to people, and that's been popular because in an age of blaming everyone else and playing the victim, we need more humans to take responsibility, take ownership, just like Jordan Peterson. That's why he's popular, because that message is needed today. I call it the truth. The truth is that everything is you. Your brain, your perception, your reality only exists because it exists, because it perceives. Nothing outside of you exists outside of your brain. Your brain tells you it's there. It's actually kind of a mind trip, but when you really think deeply on this, you'll see. If your brain perceives everything, if your every opinion, desire, thought, feeling, action, emotion, every single thing you think is good or bad in your life, every single thing you desire, or every single pain and thing you try to avoid, these are all interpretations of your mind. And nobody can control your mind but you. Because, and here's the thing, this is the inescapable reality. Think of this idea as like the infinity sign. It is a universal truth. It's like the idea of between 1 and 2, there are infinite numbers. It's a very hard idea to grasp. Like, think about that a second. Between 1 and 2, there are infinite decimal places. It's unbelievably crazy to think about that. It's crazy to think about the scale of the universe. How is something infinite? How does it just keep going forever? It's just hard to fathom. It's hard for our human mind floating on this rock to fathom this, because we weren't equipped by nature to do that. But that is what this truth is. It's that infinity sign. It is a constant. It is 100%. It's absolute. It's maximal. It's inviolable. It's unequivocal. Your thoughts are your choice, because if you let someone else think for you, if you let someone else influence you, if you let subconscious fears and traumas make you act and think a certain way, you've chosen it, because you either haven't grasped control of it and wrangled it under your control, and you haven't learned how to use your mind to control your thoughts and feelings, which is itself a choice, or you're just outsourcing it to someone else, which is a choice to not do the work. This is why the Stoics said that every single thing in your life is how you respond. It's not what happens. It's how you respond to it. Your thoughts are your choice. So, this idea itself obviously could be expanded massively. But when you connect purpose and not quitting, plus the goal setting, the specific step-by-step tangibles for setting a goal and achieving it, you will get there. So failure only manifests if you quit, right? So like, you start a business, you lose money. You're not like, are you alive? Can you go try again? Then the only failure would be if you decided to not go again. If you let fear and whatever take over and you say, I'm not going to do it again, then you've exited the game, you've exited it, and you've quit. and that is failure. Failure is quitting. Quitting is failure. Going after it, going on the journey, that is winning. And that's what people don't understand. Like when you connect these things and you're on that journey, you're already successful. That's why I say it's about the journey, not the destination. There isn't actually success does not have a destination, right? You could have like there's billionaires. Is success having more money than like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos? Like, does that mean you'll be successful? So then you just wake up the next day and you don't have to do anything? No. What if you have all that money and you've traded everything, you have no relationships and you're miserable or you're overweight? Is that successful? No. What's successful is pursuing a worthy goal that gives you meaning. And the way the world works, it's going to be providing value for somebody else, for others. That is success. And then enjoying the journey and finding happiness and fulfillment along the way, that is success. Make sure you get the Better Human newsletter over at thebetterhuman.co. And if you want to support my work, you can head over to wildfoods.co. Check us out. We have whole food supplements. We have a little bit of everything for everyone. You can see them back here. We've got some pink salt, we've got MCT oil, some fish oil, all obsessively sourced, high quality, earth-grown supplements and foods to support your lifestyle. So go over to wildfoods.co and use code WILDCEO. Goal setting. Okay? Rewatch this video as many times as you need. Do it on double speed. And also, I gotta shout out to a recent YouTube channel that has been rekindling my desire for these ideas. And really, I feel like this is my purpose in life. I just keep kind of going in and out of it because like I got to make money. And so I get pulled back into entrepreneurship, which I'm very good at. And I get pulled into these ideas. But I feel like every time I come back, I'm a little bit better and it's a little bit more exciting. And so I'm going to be building a book out of this. I'm going to start public speaking probably. A lot of cool things. So subscribe to the channel or the podcast wherever you're listening to this, the Better Human Podcast and the YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is Gravemind. That is the channel of really awesome stuff. Old talks, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret, things like that. And then he adds music and graphics to them. I love it. I'm freaking addicted. I'm literally listening to these videos every single day now. I'm just getting back into that the early self-help, the early motivational stuff that got me kicked off on this journey when I was in my early 20s. So check them out. Gravemind. That's what it's called. Pretty sure. Yeah. And if I can ever be of assistance, just shoot me an email or a comment. I don't see the comments as much, but if you get on the newsletter and you reply there, I'll always see it. Do something with this information. Follow the step-by-step process. You're not going to get overnight. You're not going to get in an hour session. It's going to be constant. You're going to have to reinforce it. Okay, so keep going. Do whatever you need to do. Remind yourself daily. Like part of your 1 hour daily routine is just like think about these ideas, review them, map it out, take action, research, do things, go, and don't quit. And over time, you will build the purpose and you will build a routine so that as long as you just keep going, you're going to get there. And like I said, that's what we need.